Hello and a very warm welcome to Granada Reports, live with the latest across the northwest.
Hello, thanks for joining us tonight on the programme this evening.
Trapped in the war zone, the campaigner who says the government's visa scheme is stopping her rescuing some of Ukraine's most vulnerable children.
They have to get to a British embassy. They've got to fill out 6 pages of documentation, then they've got to wait at least 5 days to say whether it will be granted or refused.
Piled high, the lorry load of supplies and goodwill heading to Poland with love from the people of Filed.
And we'll be looking ahead to more stories from Ukraine in the ITV News Hour coming up after us.
Also on tonight's programme.
Join me later to find out why a Bolton family are still waiting to move into their dream home 3 years after they started plans to transform it. He's
an heroic hound. Why Chewy, the rescue dog, is up for a big award at Crufts.
And there are plenty of signs of spring out there at the moment, but it's been a bit blowy today. I'll have the all-important weather forecast later in the programme.
Well, first tonight, how one woman is desperately trying to bring 10 children away from the war in Ukraine.
Yeah, 20 years ago, Patricia Harrison from Kendal was so moved by the conditions that street children were living in that she set up a charity called New Beginnings.
The charity opened its foster home 2 miles outside Kiev, which has been run from their base here in our region ever since.
Patricia says the UK government's visa scheme should be scrapped as it's making the whole process of getting refugees here too difficult, especially for anyone who doesn't speak English.
She's been speaking to our South Lakes reporter, Fiona Marley-Patterson.
1 suitcase and no idea where you'll now call home. 2 million have fled Ukraine and counting. Mostly women and children. But in Kendal, Patricia desperately tries to save 10. 10 that mean the world to her in the children's home she founded.
They can't get out because we haven't got a vehicle big enough. You can't get fuel. They haven't got the papers to get a visa. So at the moment, they're scared. There was bombing, shelling at the airport, international airport, a couple of kilometres from us. They can hear the tanks and the coming. So they're frightened. And last night they gave us a call, panicking. Should they come? Should they flee? Should they stay? This morning they've decided to stay. It is too difficult to leave, but obviously we are incredibly worried.
Patricia wants to bring the children to Kendal. They could get a visa with a sponsor, but it's proving difficult.
It's inhumane. The visa scheme should be dropped completely because for a person to go from Poland, they have to get to a British embassy. They've got to fill out 6 pages of documentation. And this is people who don't speak the language. And then they've got to wait at least 5 days to say whether it will be granted or refused. Well, where do they go? What do they do? I mean, Poland can't absorb everybody. These are not terrorists they're coming. They're women and children and orphans. And they're traumatised. And we are saying they've got to have a visa. It's ridiculous. Show that we mean what we say. Sanctions are great. But they do not help these women with babies in arms who are on their own, lonely, frightened, traumatised. We will help them if we can get them here.
To get a visa to come here, you need family or a sponsor here. The government says it's one of the most generous in the world.
20,000 Ukrainians already in the UK have had their rights to stay here extended, obviously. We're extending a Ukrainian family settlement scheme for 3 years on very generous grounds for up to 200,000 Ukrainians with a very broad description of what constitutes family members. And then we're introducing a sponsorship scheme as well. And that sponsorship scheme is without limits and would enable Ukrainian families to come here.
But it's strongly criticised. Paperwork and legal hoops in this.
They want to go back to their country, and these women will go back and with their bare hands they will rebuild their homes. and we will help them. We have to help them.
Defiant, like the people she loves. Fiona Molly-Patterson, ITV News, Kendal.
Yeah, such desperately sad pictures coming out of that region at the moment. Patricia Harrison talking from her home in Kendal there. Well, meanwhile, many people here in the northwest are trying to do what they can to help refugees who have reached the Polish border. The latest load of supplies and goodwill set off today. Yeah, and our cameras were there bright and early this morning. There's just one of the many lorries left on its long journey. Tonight, it's the good people of Fylde Coast who deserve a pat on the back. Our reporter Victoria Grimes reports from Lytham.
When the call went out for aid, the community in Fylde responded immediately. And today their donations were loaded onto a lorry, bound for those desperately in need.
On day one of our campaign, which was Wednesday last week, we've received over £5,000 of goods, sleeping bags, airbeds, torches, metal mugs, things that really are needed. We've had hundreds and hundreds of people coming in. So we're really excited that we've managed to get the transport and it will now actually go directly to Ukraine.
There's 20 of these pallets being sent over to Ukraine. There's 15,000 items contained within them. Everything from sleeping bags to nappies to torches to batteries. All those essential things that people who've had to flee for their lives and from their homes are going to need. The donations will travel to a distribution centre in Poland, some eventually making their way to Ukraine. And in a remarkable show of community spirit, a team of 50 volunteers have worked tirelessly to make it happen, all deeply moved by the stories they've heard.
One of the Polish volunteers, his brother has 3 lots of families living with him, refugees from Ukraine, and we did a video call to them, and it was very heartbreaking. The children were there waving to us, thanking us. We're all crying, tears down our face.
How did you feel when you saw those children waving and saying thank you?
I felt very lucky, but also more determined to help them even more. It's just heartbreaking.
This feels quite personal to me. You know, I'm from Poland, and obviously at the moment what is happening in Poland, people opening their hearts, their homes to help the refugees and do whatever they can. And equally here, it definitely feels great to see the kindness and the good hearts of people.
It feels so emotional today. You know, everybody's pulled together. The whole of the Fylde Coast have just been wonderful. We really hope this is going to, help a lot of families in the Ukraine.
Sent from Lytham with love. It's acts of kindness like this that matter so much to those at the centre of this war. Victoria Grimes, ITV News, Fylde.
Yeah, well done to everyone who's been involved in all of those collection points right across the northwest. We're so proud of you. And there is more on the Ukraine emergency on the ITV News at 6:30 coming up straight after us. So here's Mary with those headlines.
Coming up on the programme, a children's hospital is destroyed by an airstrike in Ukraine. The president blames the Russians for the attack in Mariupol, with a desperate search now on for survivors. Also tonight, we've obtained footage that shows Russian tanks on the streets of Irpin, a key strategic city on the edge of Kiev.
Look what they've done.
The struggle to survive in Kharkiv, one family's account from the first week of war.
Airstrikes all over the city. Dozens of buildings destroyed.
Plus, Shackleton's lost ship found a century on. Would you join me for those stories and more at 6:30?
OK, on to the rest of the day's news. And the boss of the firm hoping to drill for shale gas in Lancashire is waiting for more information after the Prime Minister appeared to suggest fracking might be a way of solving rising energy prices. Quadrilla said it will still be plugging its Lancashire shale wells, but remains open to any other proposals from government. Chief Executive Francis Egan said the equipment to close the wells is arriving next week.
A judge has given the go-ahead for the Greater Manchester to bring back its bus network under public control for the first time in 30 years. The scheme was introduced by the Metro Mayor, Andy Burnham, but it was initially challenged in court by the bus companies. It's hoped that this will pave the way for a London-style transport system where the same ticket can be used across the region's buses, trams and trains.
Gone are the days where we have to see an entire community cut off, an estate with no service at all. I mean, how wrong is that? But that's what we've had in a world where the bus companies decided where they went and they decided where they've charged. And that really has served us so badly for 36 years. You know, a kind of deregulated market where private interests have dominated over the public interest. Well, no more. This ruling basically draws a line under all of that today.
Fire engines in Greater Manchester will carry bulletproof vests and stretchers for use during a so-called marauding terrorist attack. The service, which was criticised for its response to the Manchester Arena bombing, has agreed the move with the Fire Brigades Union. The Chief Fire Officer says he wants to ensure all firefighters and officers have the training and equipment to respond to any mass casualty incidents.
Well, it's all going to be going on in Coronation Street, which is expanding its existing set to include a new Weatherfield precinct. It'll have masonettes, a balcony and several shops. Bosses say it'll allow storylines to expand way beyond the famous cobbles.
And the new King of Peel Island is a submarine electrician from Barrow. He will take over running the ship-in pub on the island. Almost 200 people from around the world applied for the job, myself included, which went to a 33-year-old Aaron Sanderson. That was a joke, not really.
You did have your eye on that job, though.
It's a great job. It's a great job.
I think it was when they said that seals outnumber people by so many. It did sound very tempting, didn't it? I think you would have made a perfect King of Peel Island.
As long as everybody can call me His Majesty, I'd be well up for that.
I got that last time. OK.
I'm still waiting.
You'll be waiting a while. OK, lots to come on the programme.
We love a strong woman on the show. Tonight we head to the gym to meet Becca and hear the story behind her rise to world champion status.
And after a bright start earlier on today, things have gone downhill just a little bit. But what's in prospect for the rest of the week and the weekend weather-wise, I'll let you know later on.
Yeah, it all went a bit downhill when you chose that tie, I have to say, John. Sorry about that.
Ouch!
Yeah, more from John coming up later. Now then, when you watch programmes like Grand Designs and DIY SOS, you get a bit used to people trying to build their dream home and then running into problems.
Yeah, but next we're meeting one family who've had more problems than most. 3 years ago, Ian and Joanne Brown had plans approved to adapt their home near Bolton for their 9-year-old son Thomas, who has cerebral palsy.
Yeah, but the work to create something suitable for his needs has barely got off the ground due to problems like the pandemic and rising prices.
And as Jennifer Buck reports, just as work was about to get going, once again, the storms came.
This is Thomas's house, although it is not yet his perfect home. At the moment, it's more of a building site. 9-year-old Thomas has cerebral palsy but is developing well and loves playing with his twin sister Mia. 3 years ago, his family wanted to make their home in Bolton more accessible to his wheelchair and his needs, so he could live comfortably on the ground floor.
Take you to the bathroom.
After remortgaging, fundraising and saving, they had the £150,000 needed for their dream refurbishment.
We're going to have a parking space there, so his wheelchair vehicle will be able to come right up to the front, as will his school bus, and then we can get him off or get him out and get him down a ramp. And then once he's in the house, he's going to have access to the kitchen, the fridge, his bathroom, his bedroom. We're going to be able to make full use of all the toileting equipment that he's got, and he's going to be able to develop his independence.
But as the work began, soon after, the pandemic hit, putting extra pressure on builders and the supply of building materials. The family moved next door as their house was unlivable. A new contractor was found, and while things seemed to be looking up, another problem was found.
There were some questions raised around the sewer drain, which runs right on the edge of what we're doing. So we had to get some issues resolved around that. But unfortunately, whilst we stopped to work everything out, that's when all the storms hit, and we just had storm after storm after storm, and the site flooded, wind damage, mud, mess.
bad weather brought more delays and more complications and more cost.
I'm gutted. It's my house. It's where we chose to stay with him, and we want to bring him up here for the rest of his life and have it right for him and for us and for the girls as well, because they have to walk past it all and live in the way we're living at the moment, and it's just not right for anybody. The stress in itself of all the delays and the extra costs, and it's just took its toll.
The family are determined to raise the last £15,000 needed to complete the work and have a fundraising page that has huge support from the local community. For now, they struggle through the mud and rubble, dream of the ramp that will be built, and make their way through the building site and plough on. Jennifer Buck, ITV News in Bolton.
OK, now if you have a dog, you probably think it is the best dog in the world, but it isn't, because mine is. But please feel free to let us know about your dogs tonight. When it comes to superheroes of the dog world, though, the one that we're about to meet takes the biscuit.
Yeah, he certainly does. He is Chewy, and when his owner was taken seriously ill, it was Chewy who raised the alarm, and now his owners are hoping he might get a top award for his trouble. Tim Scott has this report.
Loretta and Ray Whiteley will celebrate 30 years of marriage in September, but Ray, who has multiple sclerosis, nearly didn't make it. And it's thanks to their rescue dog Chewy that he's still here today, because it was Chewy who raised the alarm when Ray went into cardiac arrest.
I was in the garden, heard Chewy barking, didn't really think anything of it. Over the space of about 10 minutes, his barking just got more and more frantic, to the point where it was almost like if he'd have been a person, he'd have been screaming.
Loretta raced in to find Chewy next to Ray, distraught.
Chewy was jumping on his chest for everything that he was worth, and then he'd go and lick his face, he'd jump, he'd bark.
Chewy knew something was wrong.
Yeah, straight away. And then in what seemed like an absolute eternity, but it was just a matter of seconds, he stopped breathing, his pulse stopped, and it was just... my entire world just came crashing down around my shoulders.
But fortunately, Loretta and an ambulance crew managed to get Ray's heart beating again. Chewy's alert had saved his life. Today, the little dog remains Ray's special friend.
Your daddy's little hero.
Seeing them interact the way they do, it must be such a help for you personally, Loretta.
Every time I see them do something, you know, in the house, just watching them playing together, I'll go in the kitchen, I'll just stand there and cry, and it's just tears of pure joy.
And now, because of his quick thinking and saving Ray's life, Chewy has made the finals of Crufts Hero Awards, which he could win at the weekend.
It's absolutely mind-blowing, Tim, to be honest. I know it's corny and cliched. It is just such an honour to be recognised. You know, there's so many amazing dogs out there doing so many amazing things for people, you know, and he's just a scruffy little monkey.
He may be a scruffy little monkey, but Chewy is also a lifesaver. We wish him all the best at the Crufts Awards on Saturday. Tim Scott, ITV News, Leyland.
Oh, lovely to see that bond.
We love Chewy, don't we?
Yep, we certainly do. Good luck to him at Crufts.
John's got the weather.
That sunshine really made your eyeshadow pop, you know? And you put the wipe in the bin, not the toilet.
United Utilities sponsors ITV Granada weather.
Go ahead, Queen.
Yes, hello again. Well, it was a bright enough start across our neck of the woods earlier on today. Here's a wishy-washy sunrise at Abram near Wigan. And up at Morecambe, it was a nice morning up there, even with the tide out. But things have been going downhill just a little bit through today. This thicker band of cloud bringing some outbreaks of rain has been slowly but surely edging in from the west. So at the moment there's 1 or 2 outbreaks of rain, especially Lancashire, Cumbria, the Isle of Man. Some drier weather over Cheshire will start to spread northwards overnight tonight, but it's not a cold night, quite the reverse. Quite a mild night, low temperatures around 9 or 10 Celsius. There is sun times for tomorrow, up in the morning at 6:39 and setting at 6:05 tomorrow evening. So tomorrow it'll be a bit of a cloudy start to the day, pockets of light rain and drizzle around, but they will move away northwards as brighter weather spreads in from the southwest. So some nice sunshine tomorrow afternoon for the Isle of Man, down through the Lancashire coast into the Wirral and Cheshire there, and a top temperature slightly above average at 10 or 11 Celsius. Tomorrow evening, 1 or 2 further pockets of rain moving up from the south, and I'm afraid that's going to last into Friday. It may be a dry start on Friday, but some outbreaks of rain edging up from the southwest, and a fairly stiff southeasterly wind coming up as well. But once more, with that wind from a southerly direction, temperatures not bad, around 11 or 12 Celsius. Into the weekend, not too bad a day on Saturday, a mainly dry but rather cloudy day. Some showery outbreaks of rain on Sunday, quite windy, but always on the mild side. That's it. Enjoy your evening.
United Utilities sponsors ITV Granada weather.
Those eyebrows are unreal.
Well, at least it's not raining cats and dogs out there tonight. Lots of dogs going on in here, though, which is all a bit cruel because you haven't got one, have you, Gamal?
I've been badgering Mrs F for us to get a dog for years, and she says absolutely not, because she doesn't think that I'm going to be organised enough to look after it. But you're a dog lover, so you need to have a word with her, please.
Well, and I'm not very organised. Somehow you do manage to fit them in around life. And you are not short of love at home for your dogs, because you've been telling us all about them and what makes them special. So first off, thanks to 9-year-old Matilda Fairclough from Wigan. She says her dog Bugsy seems to know by instinct when she's upset and comes to sit next to her. Where is this picture? Come on. To make sure she's okay.
And Dr. Anthony Kearns, who's in Blackpool, says for him it is his dog Molly's perpetual and eternal happiness.
That's Molly. We got there in the end. Yeah, so that's Dr. Kearns' dog, and she makes him very happy. Keith Wellens says the best cure for depression and anxiety, Rufus and Bentley got me through it.
Yeah, this is our May. Her greatest skill is looking unbelievably cute when in reality she is up to no good. On many an occasion, I found my best she's buried at the bottom of the garden.
Yeah, and this one is another Chewy. Robert Blakely says this Chewy had an accident when he was just 12 years old, when he tried to have a fight with a thorn bush. So this Chewy is the one that needed looking after. How sweet is he? So there you go, parade of dogs to make you jealous. Come on.
Indeed. Thank you for all your pictures. We'll see you tomorrow.
Yeah, thank you. Good night.